1 year ago today, I was on a one-way ticket from Honolulu, Hawaii to Sydney, Australia. At this point in my life, I was so deeply unhappy. I just wanted a change. I needed a change. I knew I had to. Otherwise, I was going to live the rest of my life being completely miserable. Fast forward to today. I'm here in Da Nang, Vietnam. I feel so hopeful for the rest of life. I've grown so much, and I feel so grateful and blessed every single day. How did I get here though? Besides on a plane. Let me take you through the story of the past year. I remember waking up on the plane. I had been going in and out of sleep. The night before I had stayed up all night, and I was woken up to this veggie stir fry that looked absolutely disgusting being presented to me. I would try not to hurl. A few minutes later, the stewardess came around with some immigration forms, and it all started to settle in. I'm actually on a plane going to Australia. I sold all my belongings. I don't know anybody, and I have no idea what's going to happen. But even though I was scared out of my mind, I knew that whatever was waiting for me couldn't be any worse than the life I have been living. At this point in my life, I was so unhappy. I didn't have a single friend. I was drinking every single night. My body was crying out for help. I was so unhealthy in my body. My mind was completely clouded. I had no direction. I had no purpose. I didn't understand why I was even here. But I think all of that was what brought me to that plane. I was hoping that Australia would just take my life and fix it right on up. In a way it did, but it knocked me flat on my ass first. The first 2 months of the journey was pretty much like the honeymoon phase. I was traveling all around, I'm meeting new people, I'm having a blast, I'm partying, things are feeling good. I'm feeling on top. I'm thinking back to everybody back home in the States like, yeah, your life must suck. Look at me. I'm living large. And this was fun for a while. But like I said, it was the honeymoon phase. And after a while of this, the old feelings that I was trying so hard to run from started creeping back in. So the anxiety, the sadness, the lack of purpose, the, maybe you shouldn't drink so much feeling in the back of my head. But for a while, I was able to push these away. This phase of my journey was still really valuable though. It taught me that I could do crazy and exciting things. It taught me how to operate and sit in the unknown. And it taught me that there was a lot of life to experience out there. But I still had a lot to learn. At this point, it's getting to be the end of December. My money is basically gone. I'm feeling done with all the other travelers. I don't really care what else is up ahead of me, so I canceled the rest of my trip and booked a ticket down to Melbourne. I was just ready to start the next phase of my life. I was ready to settle down, find a job, just get into the routine of things. Little did I know that there in Melbourne, I would face the biggest challenge of my life up until this point. Things started off well enough. I got some jobs at the restaurants. I found a room in a share house, which felt like paradise after living in the hostels for 2 months. I was like, my own room, my own bed, a double bed. Oh, it was nice. So yeah, I was feeling pretty good for a while there. But as things started to settle in, like I said, the feelings started coming back around, and I was still unhappy. I didn't understand. I did not understand. How was it possible? I was still unhappy here in Australia. This was supposed to be my island oasis. This was supposed to be my paradise, reinvented as a new woman. So why did I still feel stuck? Then one morning, I shot right out of bed, eyes wide open, and the first thought that came to me was, I'm literally across the world, thousands of miles away from anything or anybody I know, and I'm still living the same exact life. How is that possible? Then it dawned on me. Uh-oh. Yeah. This was not a fun thing to realize. So for the first while after my epiphany moment, I tried various things to try to improve myself. I tried to take the easy way out. I signed up for a gym membership, I'm doing yoga on the YouTube. I'm buying some keyboard off of Craigslist and trying to learn a song, taking up hobbies, blah, 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 blah. But, like I said, these were cop-outs. This was just me avoiding looking at the real and most evident problem, my drinking problem. Finally, I realized, okay, we should at least try. So for about a month, I tried unsuccessfully to get sober. And this month was very discouraging for me because I kept failing over and over and over again. And I kept getting more and more and more discouraged. Then one night, just days before my 23rd birthday, I hit my absolute rock bottom. It was in that moment when I decided, I can't do this anymore. Enough is enough. I'm done. I drowned myself in Coke Zero. I had to have it with me at all times. And slowly but surely, I started to feel a bit better. And I started to feel more positive. And before I knew it, it was my 1 month anniversary of being sober. I want to add a quick disclaimer in here. If you are struggling, I want you to know that I'm here for you if you need just anybody to talk to. Why not try something different? But you have no idea what could be on the other side. And I'm living proof of that. This next phase of my journey was all about experiencing the new things in life. It was getting time for me to leave Melbourne. I was heading to Vietnam for the very first time because I had decided to go volunteer to help teach English. Now, when I first arrived, I will admit, it was taking a bit of time to settle in. Everything was very different from any culture I had ever experienced. I felt a bit isolated and kind of just out of place. But here the lesson of give things time would be reinforced to me tenfold. Over the next month, I would come to find so much joy working with the students, spending time with the family, and being completely immersed in the Vietnamese culture. This opened my heart and mind in ways that I never even knew were possible. And I'm so grateful to have had this experience. The next few months would continue this trend of expanding my mind and heart. I was blessed enough to be able to spend some time traveling in Vietnam and Thailand, and I met some of the most beautiful people and experienced things that I never even knew existed. Like, I was sitting up on a mountain with hundreds of dragonflies swirling all around me in a beautiful river with local people paddling canoes. I was swimming in island waters surrounded by glowing plankton at 3 a.m. Buffalo sunset, good food, great people, amazing memories. My heart felt so absolutely full. This time made me realize that there's so much to experience in this life. And I want to experience it all. Then it was time for me to go visit my family. At this time, I had come to the executive decision that I was going to go to LA to pursue music. So my plan was go visit my family and then go down to LA to start my new life. But I would learn another lesson here, that sometimes what you think you know is very, very far from the truth. I arrived and my plan was to live out of Airbnbs for a while until I found a job in a place. But I would realize very, very quickly that LA was not the place for me. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, but I had several experiences there that opened my eyes to the fact of this is not the place I need to be. So I was sitting in my Airbnb, feeling lost and confused. I was wasting money, and at that point, I made the executive decision. It's time to go back to Australia. It was 3 p.m. when I booked my flight and 11 p.m. when I left the country. Now, this might seem like a rash decision, but I had my reasoning for it. It was a bit of a race against the clock. I had 4 months left on my Australian visa, and you have to do 3 months of regional work in order to renew it for a second year. It was a use it or lose it sort of situation. And my experience in LA made me realize I don't think I want to be back in the States anytime soon. When I arrived to Australia, I went to a city called Cairns to try to find some work. But nothing was working out for me here. No matter how hard I tried, I could not find a job. There was one day where I literally went around town on foot by 12 hours and handed out 50 CVs. I had one trial shift as a result of that, and they never contacted me again. So at this point I'm broke and I'm sitting in my hostel dorm room, basically wondering what the heck is the meaning of life? What am I doing here? I have no money, this all sucks. And I'm doom scrolling on some of the online job boards and I've come across this one job in this random town in Western Australia. But I shoot off the CV because I figured, what do I gotta lose? A few hours later, I get a call from the owner, and within 2 days, I arrived to my new home in Dumbleyung, Western Australia, a town with 200 people and nothing to do but work and hang out with yourself. I didn't know why I was here, but it would become apparent to me rather quickly. I was brought there to face another part of myself, a part of myself that was deeply, deeply hurt and that was tired of being ignored. The alcohol was gone, my vices were gone, but my emotional burdens were still there. One day, I sat down with myself and I had a heart-to-heart. I didn't understand why I was still having these problems and I wanted to get to the bottom of things. Over the course of the next 3 months, I learned what I didn't have the chance to in my early life. I learned to allow myself to sit with the negative emotions. I let myself cry as much as I needed to, which was a lot. I expressed myself through song and any other way that felt right. I learned that it was okay to feel the good, the bad, and everything in between. Now, this might sound like common sense, but due to life and circumstance, I never learned this in my early life. What I was taught is that my emotions were not valid, that they should be shoved away at any cost necessary. And this is how I lived my life for nearly a decade. So unlearning these behaviors was quite the task. But the groundwork had already been laid. I knew that I could do impossible things. So, after many tears, many long walks, and many long hours in the pub, my time in Dumbleyung was over. And now I find myself here in Da Nang, Vietnam, being called to share my story and everything that I've learned over the past year. I can't give enough credit to my higher power, my God. God has been here with me through every step of the way, guiding me, helping me when I didn't have the strength to do it myself. And I could not have done it without my God. I know I'm not the only person whose life has changed exponentially through just one choice. I know I'm not the only person who has battled addiction. And I know I'm not the only person who has lived out of alignment with their heart for much longer than they should have. If my story can just help one person to make a change and live a life that they truly love, then I've done my part. I would have never gotten to this point though if I didn't take a chance. And even though it was so scary in the moment, I would do it again and again and again every single time. If anyone wants information on how to move to Australia, I'm going to include a link to my absolutely free guide down below in the description if that's something that you're curious to look into. It's going to discuss everything from what the visa is, the application process, and how to help you get settled in once you arrive. But you don't have to move to Australia to change your life. You can make a change today. Just know that it all starts with taking a chance and having the courage to leap, knowing that you will fly. Thank you guys so much for listening to my story. If you felt inspired by this story, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to hear about anything else over the course of my journey, whether it's solo travel, Australia, Vietnam, mental health, or just anything else that comes to mind, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'd be more than happy to talk with you about it. And like I mentioned, you guys, I do have an absolutely free guide that I've made on just everything about the Australia Work and Holiday Visa and how you can start your Australian journey if that is something that you would like. So the link is in the description just below. Okay, you guys? And I just want you guys to know that I truly love you and I wish the best for each and every one of you. If there's nothing else, then that's all. I love you guys. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day.